If one sentence, just one, could stay in her mind long after you leave, would you still waste time using weak lines like, "You're hot," or "Nice dress"? Most men would, and that is exactly why they get ignored. You think attraction starts with what she sees: looks, money, status. You believe if you get those right, everything else follows. But you have seen something different. You are in a room. A man walks in. He is not the best looking. He is not trying too hard. He says a few words, and her attention shifts. You notice it, but you do not understand it. Why does that happen? Why does one man say less and get more, while another says more and gets nothing? Like and subscribe for more insights like this. This is where most men get confused, because what you are seeing has nothing to do with surface-level attraction. It has everything to do with how he makes her feel. And that starts with his words. You felt it before. She reacted more than you expected. Then another time, you said more, tried harder, and got almost nothing back. You notice it, but you ignore it at first. Then it starts repeating, and now you are here trying to figure it out. Here is the truth. Your words carry weight, but only when they are used with awareness. Most men speak without thinking. They throw compliments around, hoping something sticks. You look nice. You're beautiful. You're cute. You have used these before, and if you are honest, they rarely create a real reaction, because they are empty. Not because the words are bad, but because there is no depth behind them. This is where everything starts to shift. Attraction is not about what you say. It is about what she feels after you say it. Think about that. You are sitting with her. You say something. She pauses. Her eyes hold yours for a second longer. That moment right there is what matters. Not the sentence, the feeling. You ignored it. Now it is repeating. This is where you need to slow down. Because most men rush. They speak too fast. They try to impress. They fill silence because they are uncomfortable with it. And in doing that, they lose control. A man who understands himself does the opposite. He observes first, then he speaks. That one shift changes everything. Now let's get into something most men completely overlook. Fragrance. This is simple but powerful. You are standing next to her. She walks past you. There is a scent, subtle but noticeable. Most men ignore this moment. They are too focused on what they see. But if you understand attraction, you know scent is directly tied to memory and emotion. You already experienced this. A smell takes you back to a specific moment, a person, a feeling. It happens instantly. That is how the mind works. So when you say, "That fragrance you're wearing is addictive, it smells amazing," you are not giving a random compliment. You are creating an association. You are linking yourself to a sensory memory. Now picture this. You are with her. You say it calmly. No rush, no pressure. You do not repeat yourself. You do not over-explain. You say it once, and you let it sit. Watch what happens. She looks at you differently. There is a pause, because you notice something most people miss. You were present. Most men miss this part completely. They look, but they do not see. They hear, but they do not listen. They speak, but they do not think. And she feels that difference immediately. You are sitting with her. She adjusts her hair. She moves slightly. The scent shifts again. You notice it. But instead of reacting instantly, you wait. Then you speak. That timing matters. Because now it feels real, not rehearsed. This is where most men get it wrong. They rush the moment. They speak before they feel, and that breaks the impact. Think about how many times you spoke just to avoid silence. Think about how many times you overtalked. That is where you lost control. Because effort without awareness feels forced. Now, Here is where it gets deeper. You are in a room. People are talking. The energy feels average. Nothing stands out. Then she smiles. Not a forced smile, a real one. And something shifts. The tension drops. People relax. The mood changes slightly. You notice it. But here is the difference. You do not react like everyone else. You do not say, "You have a nice smile." That is surface level. You wait. You observe the effect. Then you say, "Your smile could brighten up an entire room." Simple, direct. Now watch closely. She pauses. Because you did not compliment her appearance. You recognized her impact. That hits deeper. You are sitting there. She looks at you with more attention. Not because you said something complex, because you said something accurate. This is where emotional awareness shows. You are not reacting to what is obvious. You are responding to what is felt. And that creates connection. Think about your own experience. You have been in a place that felt tense. Then someone walked in with a genuine smile, and everything felt lighter. That is not small. That is influence. And when you recognize that in her, you separate yourself from every other man. Because you are not just looking, you are observing. Now ask yourself this. When you speak, are you describing what you see or what you feel? Most men describe. Very few observe, feel, and then speak. That is why their words do not stay. You are starting to see the difference. And once you see it, you cannot go back. Now let's take it further. You are sitting with her. She is relaxed. She is not trying to impress. She is just being herself. She laughs in her own way. She speaks without filtering everything. They are too focused on what to say next. But you notice it. You stay present. Then you say, "I like how real you are." You don't try to fit in. You're just you. Now pause. Feel the difference. You are not complimenting her looks. You are recognizing her authenticity. And in today's world, that is rare. You see it every day. People adjust themselves to fit in. People hide parts of who they are. People perform. But when someone is real, it stands out. And when you acknowledge that, it creates a different kind of connection. You are telling her you see beyond the surface. You are telling her you value who she is, not what she shows. That builds respect, and respect builds attraction. This is where most men fail. They chase attention. You recognize value. That is a different mindset. You felt it. You ignored it. Now it is repeating. Every time you respond to something real, the interaction deepens. Every time you stay on the surface, it stays shallow. The pattern is clear. Now here is where things begin to shift even more. Because what you have seen so far is still only the beginning. There is a deeper layer most men never reach. And once you understand it, your words stop being simple compliments. They start creating something much stronger. That is where everything changes. Because once your words start creating feeling, not noise, you move into a different level most men never reach. And this is where things get uncomfortable for you. Because now, surface level effort stops working completely. You cannot go back to random compliments. You cannot go back to talking just to fill space. You either grow into awareness, or you fall back into being ignored. This is where most men drop off. You notice it, but you ignore it at first. Then something else starts repeating. You start seeing patterns in how she responds to you. Sometimes she opens up. Sometimes she pulls back. Sometimes she is fully present. Other times, she feels distant. This is where most people get confused. They think attraction is random. It is not. It follows patterns. And if you pay attention, you start to read them. Now you are sitting with her again. She is talking about something simple. Her day, her thoughts, something that matters to her. Most men wait for their turn to speak. You do something different. You listen, not to reply, but to understand. Then you notice something. Her perspective is not basic. She sees things differently. She explains something in a way most people would not. That is your moment. You say, I like the way you see things. It is different. It makes me think. Then you stop. No extra explanation. No over-talking. Just clarity. Now watch what happens. She leans in slightly. Because you did not interrupt her flow, you added to it. You validated her thinking, not her appearance. That creates a different level of connection. They stay stuck on what is visible. You moved into what is internal, and that is where depth begins. Here is the truth. A woman expects to be complimented on how she looks. She hears it often. But very few people recognize how she thinks. And when you do, it stands out. Because now she feels understood, not just seen. And there is a difference. You felt it. You ignored it. Now it is repeating. Every time you speak to her mind, not just her appearance, the interaction shifts. It becomes more engaging, more real, more memorable. Now let's ground this in a real moment. You are texting her late in the evening. She sends a long message. Not just words, thoughts, opinions. Most men skim through it. You do not. You read it fully. You notice how she connects ideas. Then you reply with something specific. You think differently. Most people would not see it that way. Now the conversation changes. She invests more. This is where connection builds. Not from effort, from alignment. Now here's where it gets deeper. Because noticing her mind is one thing. Understanding her energy is another. You are around her again. You feel something. Not just what she says, how she feels. Her energy is light. It is calm. It pulls people in without force. You felt that before around certain people. They do not try to be the center of attention, but they affect the room anyway. That is rare. And when you recognize it, you say, I like your energy. It is contagious. It makes me want to be better. Now pause. Feel the weight of that. You are not complimenting her mood. You are acknowledging her influence on you. That is deeper. That hits her identity. Because now, she is not just someone you like. She is someone who affects you. And that creates emotional impact. Most men never say this. They stay on safe, predictable lines. You step outside that. And that is what makes you stand out. Stop for a second. Think about the people in your life who push you to improve without saying much. They do not force it. They do not demand it. Their presence alone shifts you. Now imagine someone recognizing that in you. That would stay with you. That is exactly what you are doing here. Now here is where most men make a mistake. They start using these lines without understanding the mindset behind them. They repeat the words, but they lack the presence. And it shows. Because delivery matters more than content. You are sitting next to her. You say something meaningful, but your tone is rushed. It loses impact. Now compare that to calm delivery. You speak slower. You hold eye contact. You do not rush to the next sentence. That changes everything. Because now your words feel real. This is where control comes in. Not control over her, control over yourself. You felt it. You ignored it. Now it is repeating. Every time you slow down, your impact increases. Every time you rush, it drops. The pattern is clear. Now let's move deeper. You are talking to her. She tells you something small, something most people would overlook. Maybe she checked on a friend. Maybe she remembered something important for someone else. Most men ignore these details. You do not. You pick it up. You say, you are thoughtful. You pay attention to people in a way most do not. Now watch her reaction. It is subtle, but real, because you notice something deeper than surface behavior. You saw her character, and that matters. In a world where most people focus on appearance, recognizing character hits differently. You are telling her you see how she moves, not just how she looks. That builds trust, and trust builds connection. Now ask yourself this. How often do you notice small details in people? Most men miss them because they are too focused on themselves. But when you shift your focus outward, everything changes. You become more aware, more precise, more effective. This is not about saying more. It is about seeing more, and then saying less. That is the difference. Now here is the part most people are not ready for. As you get better at this, your standards start to change. You stop being impressed by surface-level traits. You start looking for depth. You start paying attention to how she thinks, how she acts, how she treats others. And not everyone will meet that. That is where your control is tested. You are in a conversation. You notice she lacks depth. Most men still try to force attraction. You do not. You pull back. Because now you are not chasing. You are selecting. That changes your entire presence, and she feels it. Now let's pause. Think about this. You are no longer reacting to her. You are observing patterns. You are deciding based on what you see. That is power, and it doesn't need to be loud. It shows in how you speak, how you respond, how you choose when to engage. Now here is where things shift again. Because everything you have learned so far builds awareness. But awareness alone is not enough. You need control. Control over timing. Control over delivery. Control over when to speak and when to stay silent. And this is where most men lose it, because silence makes them uncomfortable. So they fill it. And when they do, they lose impact. But when you stay in silence for a moment longer, you create tension. And tension builds attraction. You are sitting with her. There is a pause. You hold it. Then you speak. That timing makes your words land stronger. This is where most men miss the point. It is not about what you say. It is about when you say it and how you say it. Now you are starting to see the full picture. Observation, timing, precision, delivery. That is the system. And once you understand it, your words stop being random. They become intentional. They create reactions. They build memory. But there is still one more layer. And this is the one most men never reach, because it requires something different. Not just awareness, not just control, but alignment. Alignment with purpose. And once you step into that, your presence alone starts doing the work. Your words become secondary. That is where everything changes again, and that is exactly where we are going next. Because once you reach this level, everything becomes clearer, and at the same time, more demanding. You are no longer guessing. You are no longer reacting. Now you are choosing. And this is where most men fail without realizing it. You notice it, but you ignore it at first. Then, something shifts. You start seeing beyond the moment. You start seeing patterns in who she is, not just how she behaves around you. This is where alignment comes in. And this is where your words stop doing all the work. Your presence starts doing it for you. Think about this. She is talking, laughing, sharing. But now, you are not only listening to respond. You are observing consistency. Does what she says match how she acts? Does her energy stay the same across different moments? Does she treat others the same way she treats you? This is where everything changes. Because now, you are not trying to impress her. You are evaluating her. That shift alone changes your entire energy. And she feels it. You felt it. You ignored it. Now it is repeating. Every time you stop chasing and start observing, your presence becomes stronger. Not louder, stronger. Now let's take it deeper. You are with her in a social setting. She interacts with other people. Most men only focus on how she treats them. You do something different. You watch how she treats everyone. A waiter, a friend, someone she gains nothing from. This is where her real character shows. And this is where your next level of awareness begins. You let the moment play out. Then later, you say something simple. You have a way of making people feel comfortable. It stands out. Now pause. That is not random. That is precise. You are not guessing. You are reflecting what you observed. And that hits deeper than anything forced. Because now your words carry proof. Most men do not have that. They speak without evidence. You speak from observation. That is why your words land differently. Now here is where the shift becomes real. Because at this point, you are no longer trying to say the perfect thing. You are simply saying what is real, and that is rare. Stop for a second. Think about how many conversations you have had where people were not fully present, where people were just waiting to speak. You are no longer that person. You are present. You are aware. You are intentional. And that creates a different experience for her. Now let's go further. You are talking to her about her goals, her direction, what she is building. She shares something with focus, something that matters to her. Most men respond with surface-level support. You do not. You say, I respect how driven you are. You stay focused in a way most people don't. Now watch carefully. Her reaction is not loud, but it is real. Because you touched something deeper than attraction. You touched purpose. And when you connect with someone's purpose, the impact stays longer. This is where most men never reach. They stay at attention. You moved into respect. And respect builds something stronger than attraction. Now here is the part that changes your position completely. You are no longer trying to be liked. You are showing who you are through how you observe and respond. That creates clarity, and clarity creates control. You felt it. You ignored it. Now it is repeating. Every time you act from clarity, you feel grounded. Every time you chase reactions, you feel unstable. The pattern is clear. Now here is the final layer. And this is the one that defines everything. Emotional safety. You are sitting with her. There is a moment of silence, not awkward, calm. She speaks freely. She does not filter everything. She is comfortable. This is not random. This is built through presence, through awareness, through consistency. Now you say something simple. You make people feel valued without trying. That is rare. And you stop. No extra words, no pressure. Now watch the moment. She does not rush to respond because she feels it. You did not compliment her appearance. You did not try to impress her. You acknowledged her effect on people. That reaches deeper than anything surface level. Now everything connects. Fragrance created memory. Her smile showed impact. Her authenticity built respect. Her perspective built connection. Her energy inspired growth. Her thoughtfulness revealed character. Her drive showed purpose. Her presence created comfort. These are not random compliments. They are observations. And that is the difference. You are no longer speaking to get a reaction. You are speaking because you see clearly. That is where power comes from. Now ask yourself one question. When you walk away, what will she remember? The words or how she felt in that moment? The answer is clear. And that is what you control. Not the outcome, the experience. Stop for a second. Think about every interaction you had before this. How much of it was rushed? How much of it lacked awareness? That changes now. Because once you understand this, you cannot go back. Now you move differently. You speak less. You observe more. You choose your moments. And when you speak, it lands. This is where you stop being average. Not because you try harder, because you understand deeper. And that is what separates you. Now here is the final shift. You are no longer reacting. You are observing patterns. You are no longer chasing attention. You are recognizing value. You are no longer guessing what to say. You are responding to what is real. That is control. That is awareness. That is presence. And that is what creates lasting connection. If you reach this point, you already see the difference. So now take it further. Like the video, share it with someone who needs to understand this. Subscribe if you want more insights like this. And tell me something simple. Where are you watching from? Drop your city in the comments. Because now, you are not just speaking, you are creating impact. One intentional word at a time.